I'm gonna be a mighty king, so enemies beware. Oh, I just can't wait to be king. Oh, and the lion sleeps tonight. Hello and welcome to another video on this channel. Today is my long-awaited review of Doctor Who: The Warrior's Gate, the final part of the E-Space trilogy from the Doctor Who Season 18 collection box set. I'm trying out something new here. I've got a TARDIS in here now. I don't know if this is going to work. Hopefully I can source out in the next shot, in the time between this shot and the next shot, how to get this to stay like that without me having to put my arms out like that. But yeah, welcome to this new video. I hope you're excited as I am to get into the meat of this story. As usual, I will be going on from the good and then I will talk about the bad, and then give my overall rating of the story. There's a bit of the sun there, so I might move the curtain there so you don't get as much glare over my quite glossy mask because I'm spooky. Just kidding. Anyway, so let's get on with the video. Particularly good lighting in this setup now, but I guess we'll roll with it. Tell me what you think of this new setup, if you think it works or not, actually, before we get into this review. But yeah, first of all, I'm going to have to say, this is an immensely hard... Really? I guess we're going to have a TARDIS drawer trying to just lock me in this entire video, so I might just keep it like this. You can still see me, right? I mean, it could be in a bit of an odd review, but oh well. I'm just going to leave it there because it keeps falling down. We'll probably have to think of something more long-term in future. But yeah, I have to first of all say how difficult this kind of story this is to review. And I have to give great credit to anyone who tries to review this story, because it's a very Moffat type story where it's... I think tries to be very complicated and very clever in a way. Also quite an isolated story, quite a heaven-sent almost story set in the void. So it's quite interesting to see that kind of story. But you can either give this good credit or bad credit, because you could say it's good for being confusing and a complicated story, but you could also say it's quite all over the place. Which in my opinion it's not. I think it's more heaven-sent like, sort of isolated. And the whole, the whole gate aspect sort of seems to be sort of reminiscent of the kind of thing you'd expect from that Heaven Sent episode with the whole castle atmosphere of the Tharrells, like, sort of dimension type thing. The script, I know the script had some trouble, like, in terms of writing. The writer wanted to be much more extravagant than the budget could obviously cope with, especially after doing the Leisure Hive, which apparently went significantly over budget. So obviously they don't have so much budget at this point, particularly as it's getting towards the end of the season now. I think we're something like a fifth story in. Yeah, I think this is a fifth. Because it's 6, 7, yeah. Because there's 7 stories. So this is the 5th story. So they're about halfway through the season and it's starting to... The money's starting to run out. But I think it does combat that by making it sort of isolated and minimalistic in the void. I think it works to its advantage because obviously they didn't have that much money. So the low budget, it's a very effective low budget story. The model shots as well, I think really help to bring the story alive. I think that really works in the story's favour. Particularly as the script together is very well worked together. I know they had to significantly work it to get it to work, particularly as a lot of people didn't think it would be consumable for a book, for a television story. Apparently they said in one of the behind the scenes featurettes I watched, they said it worked out to be more like a book, which would be interesting. I believe they wrote a book version of this, a Target novelisation, or I think it was an audio book that they changed it significantly to make it more like that original script. So it'd be interesting to read that at some point, maybe. I think the plot really, it comes together quite well. The themes of slavery and the falling of empires sort of very well woven into the story, I think. I think it just works very well to get what the writers were sort of aiming for. I thought the different perspectives of all the different characters. So you have this time there's 3 different perspectives. So like the guest cast, for example, you have the guest cast. These 2 sort of sort of minions, I guess, for the villain, which is very interesting in how they react to all the different situations of what's going on to them, as it's something different. It's something you don't often see with television dramas like this. So you have the Doctor's perspective and the villain's perspective, and then you have the perspective of some people down at the bottom, like, working the villain's work, and it seems very interesting how their story develops and how it all progresses for them. I thought they were a nice comedic duo, actually. I think they really worked. The costume design of the Tharals, actually, I thought it's one of the better Classic Who costume designs for a villain that they've done, but only because the furs did look quite realistic, actually. I thought it quite worked for them. I think they put a lot of money into that, which worked, I guess. Maybe that's why the rest of it's minimalistic, because they put a lot of money onto the Tharal costume. And they did look quite believable, to be fair. The rough... the bits where they got the guys in their puffer jackets, the orange, was quite funny. I did like that. That was quite retro and sort of nostalgic, I guess. I never had a bright orange thing like that, but it's kind of funny. Tom, Lala and Matthew Waterhouse, I guess, or the Doctor, Romana and Adric's teamwork worked quite well in the story, and in this story in particular, I think their teamwork has been a bit rusty at points, but I do think that they work quite well together, and it does make quite a good, often underrated TARDIS team, I think. They were together so long that you can't really call them a proper TARDIS team, because you'd think Adric really belongs to that 5th Doctor era sort of TARDIS team. But I think he's got his own nice little mini thing going on here with Romana and the 4th Doctor. I think it quite works. I think the problem is Adric I always associate with the 5th Doctor, so I was never going to like him as much in season 18 as I would in future stories, I guess. I do like Adric. I know a lot of people don't, but he's quite interesting. I think he's better in the 5th Doctor serials for sure, but he works quite well in this story as well. K9 was very amusing in this story. I loved how he's slowly dying, and it kind of fits. It's quite sad, but he's sort of going a bit crazy, and everyone thinks, oh, he's gone crazy, Doctor, don't listen to him, but he's actually right the whole time. It's a very amusing type of set way. It's like his batteries are failing, and he keeps on talking, moving backwards and so on, and it was very funny. I did enjoy this. I think some of K9's best moments are actually from this story, actually, from what I've seen. I do think it works quite well with the season 18 themes, that sort of more somber, darker tone. I think it actually really works quite well. And I think it does do quite a good job of bringing the E-Space storyline, I guess, to a satisfying conclusion. I think it works as a good ending to that particular story. I think it quite... I think it makes sense, and it would be kind of sad that we're not going to probably see any more from E-Space. It would be nice to see more of E-Space, actually. Maybe go find Adric's family or whatever. I think that might be quite an interesting thing to do, maybe. Who knows? You never know what Chris Chibnall might do. Well, probably not, but it would be nice. I think the E-Space storyline has actually been one of the nicer sort of trilogies of stories that that Classic Who has done, and they're linking together quite well. It's a sort of nice journey, and I guess it's something different. I guess when I look back at it, it's not the greatest set of stories, but I think they link in together quite well, sort of loosely. But it's nice to have a sort of different Classic Who sort of story, and an excuse to have something quite fun, I guess. And it does. I think the idea of the E-Space trilogy does work quite well within the season 18 themes of trying to have some more intelligent themes like the sciencey stuff rather than being silly. I think it does work in their advantage to have this set of stories in the series. I grabbed my phone there. That wasn't very good. That certainly wasn't very professional. I should have gone like that. But no, I went like that for some reason. I don't know why, but I look like I'm about to murder you. It's like, I'm just kidding. I know you'll probably have nightmares now. If you watched this and got to the end, then I'm very happy. But yeah, so moving on to the bad. I think Romana, the only real thing that I can see that I didn't like about this story is probably the fact that Romana and K9's exit seems quite rushed. I think that it would have been nice to have some more foreshadowing of Romana and K9 leaving. I guess Romana was sort of foreshadowing when they say the Time Lords want her back, but I guess it just feels rather sudden right at the end. She's like, oh, I'm off now. It was a bit, like, of all the great companion exits, it doesn't work as well. I think Classic Who companion exits don't go as well. I think the best Classic Who exit for a companion was probably Jo Grant. Mainly because you get that emotive response for how you feel for Jon Pertwee, the Third Doctor. I feel quite sorry for Jon Pertwee by the end of the Green Death. But Romana and K9, they just sort of brush it off. It's like they're a bit of dirt and we're getting rid of them. They're throwing. It feels like John Nathan Turner was sort of feeling like, oh, we need to throw out the trash this episode, and delays it until he gets to the last possible moment and throws them out at the end of the episode. And it just doesn't really work. It sort of seems rushed. I guess you could say K9's exit was sort of foreshadowed because they had to say, oh, he needs this piece, but it will only function in that reality. So I guess in a way it was foreshadowed, but it just seems rather stupid at the end, especially when you could just assume, oh, the Doctor will fix K9 in the TARDIS because that's what he's done every other time. So it does seem a bit irritatingly rushed. But apart from that, I think this is a very well put together story. I think it's a very good concept and it works very well, and it does feel, it gets you in the, I don't really know, it's a very complicated story. I will say that, it's a very complicated story. And it has a lot going for it and a lot going against it, but I think on conclusion, it's a very good story, and just gets, and I feel like this is the moment of season 18 that you feel that you've been waiting for this moment, where it feels like it fully established the season 18 themes, and it feels quite central to the storyline, like the ideas of science, and talking about the void and sort of the logistics of all the spaceships and stuff. I think it's very good, and it feels like a moment that you think that you're going to get disappointed because it's a big conclusion to a sort of trilogy, but I think it actually works. I think it really, really does work, and so I'm going to give it 9.5 out of 10, because there's just that small little snag at the end about K9 and Romana's exit. Apart from that, it was a cracking story. I really did like it. So yeah, I guess that was my review of The Warrior's Gate. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, comment and subscribe down below. Turn on notifications bell if you want to be part of the notification squad. I've always wanted to say that. I'm just kidding. There is no notification squad. Well, there is a notification squad if you want to be part of the notification squad. But should we call it the notification fam? Because series 11, you guys. So turn on your subscribe and turn on your notifications to be part of the notifications fam. But yeah, so thanks for watching and goodbye.